Hello sweet people, I'm Moya, thank you for joining me today. I'll be continuing my series in which I redesign the basic fairy forms of the Winx with Musa today. I love her so much. I don't think I've had a favourite member when I was a kid, mainly because I was preoccupied with liking things as quietly as I could. Reading my witch magazines, almost clandestinely, because, it was uncool to like the girly things. But in the recent years, slash when I got back into Winx after my teen years, I think Musa has really grown on me as this tomboyish character, who didn't really fit with all the girly girls. And I thought she had actually potential for a very interesting backstory as well. I started off her design looking really avant-garde and punkish, but then I realized it didn't really fit thematically with the rest of the girls because I made them all draw on their home planets in their first form, more than any other kind of modern fashion in Magix. Because obviously if you think about it, they've grown up on their respective home planets, and even if they've travelled a lot, like Stella, who I think would be most likely to distinguish herself with her own kind of fashion, the closest point of reference is still the kind of clothing that they wear in their homes. And Musa in particular, I think we've seen in a lot of obviously East Asian inspired outfits, which has been a careless blend of different countries if I'm honest. But fact is, she kind of gravitates towards more traditionally Chinese or Asian looking clothes in her formal wear, and I've drawn that in her character, claiming that, when she feels insecure, she wants a piece of home with herself, and that's why I've given her more hanfu leaning elements. Let me explain what I mean by that while we watch me draw this random piece of formal wear that I designed for her. The current fashion of melody in this EU transfers styles from the Ming Dynasty era, so that would be the 1800s in European time period, to the modern and gives it slightly updated takes, and this is what I usually draw Galatea in, for example. Musa, however, goes even further back, and her silhouettes in casual clothing, so to speak, resemble updated Tang Dynasty clothing. So that would be the pieces with the very high rise, under/over the boobs closure situation. I'll pop in some pictures later maybe. And the general silhouette of her basic/charmix form draws on that silhouette very clearly, even though the top closure that I've chosen for it is actually much more modern and is actually the closure of a cheongsam, even though it's facing the wrong direction at this point, just ignore that. So all in all, I was not very consistent with my periods of inspiration for her outfit. The pattern underneath her PVC skirt in the charmix form is actually inspired by butterfly collars, which are a staple of Ming Dynasty fashion, and they're usually worn outside of the long shan coats and are very embellished, highly embroidered, beautiful pieces. And I unfortunately couldn't find the image that I was referencing in this drawing. So this is just a visual aid so that you can understand what I'm referring to. Her shoes are standard shoes worn with hanfu with slightly pointed toes, embellished silk shoes with a flat heel, and her charmix bag is a silk purse called hebao that is also commonly worn with hanfu. Now, for the most important and very obviously Musa-ish part of her design, her headphones. Oh my god, I loved drawing them for the charmix. I thought it was the kind of accessory that would come with that upgraded transformation, like how the brooches were added in the show, and it just makes the silhouette complete. I've given it a little bit of an analog feeling, again leaning into the vintage vibes, and topped it off with a cute red ribbon hanging off her pigtails. Speaking of pigtails and head, I don't know if you've noticed, I have given you some pointed ears because in my AU she's actually a mixed girl between elf and human. I have made Musa's mom, Mylin, in my AU an elf, which is one of the 6 main races that a being can be in this AU. That would be human, elf, gnome, centaur, and harpy, as well as mermaid, of course. So Musa is fully Melodian, both of her parents are from there, but she's mixed between human and elf, and her magic is actually a hybrid between the two. I have given all the elves in this AU sort of insect-like wings, and Musa's in this transformation will draw on that element, sort of honouring her mom. Speaking of whom, I didn't want to retcon too much, but I really disliked the vague yet menacing kind of illness that she fell sick to. I just gave it a more concrete reason, saying she was a very successful conductor, leading a very stressful life, and she ignored the signs of a stroke, which you should never do, and unfortunately succumbed to complications when Musa was around 7-ish, at which point she had an inkling of magic, but due to the loss of her mother, all of that development kind of shut down for a while until she rediscovered her penchant for it in her teens and started working towards being able to go to very higher education and got into Althea on merit alone. Both music and magic are very important to Musa, both as hobbies and as forms of coping. For a while after the loss of her mother, her father was very disapproving of both because they reminded him so much of his wife. So Musa was continuing both kind of clandestinely as a form of rebellion against him, and their relationship hasn't been very good for a while. But they will eventually mend it when Musa is older. I'm thinking about the era when they go back to Melody for Serenix. I think would be a nice point of time where they both can talk about it and come eye to eye. I really enjoyed working on her design with the unusual material of the reflective skirt and the heavy brocade on her top and on her shoe. It was just so much fun trying to figure out how to paint these novel materials. I mean, novel for me, but you know what I mean. In the end, the only thing I'm disappointed by is how little you can see of the gorgeous embroidery that I designed underneath the skirt. But, I mean, you see flashes of it in this video, so that kind of compensates me. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this speed paint, and I hope you see you in the audience. Another time, let me know if you'd like me to continue the series with another installment. And I'll see you all another time.